What you're saying is.
Good afternoon, once again, welcome back to the Senate Committee on Government Operations Committee meeting of Tuesday, April 21st, 2026. So that was an interesting, 15 or 20.
It was.
Right. Not sure what that will mean in terms of putting the bill in play.
But we have to play.
Well, you could, even though there's zero at the end of most of the,
I don't know how I'm playing it.
anyway, we're not gonna take that one up, right now, because we just did. So now we're gonna move to, H 841, enacting miscellaneous animal welfare procedures. Hillary Chutter Ames is with us from Ledge Council. And, the last time we took this up, I had made notes, but I just as passed by the House. Is there a new draft of this perhaps?
There is not.
All right.
I did watch the committee's testimony.
Okay, you
regarding-
can join us.
Hillary Chutter Ames for the Office of the Council. I did watch the testimony that the committee took and discussed some suggestions.
Okay.
But I didn't receive that direction from the committee, so happy to take that and prepare a
All right.
revised version.
Well, maybe if we, want to look through here, page 5, does everyone have the bill?
I'm getting, I'm just praying 9:35 and getting out to 8:41.
One of the concerns that was raised by the Secretary of State's office was regarding the certified rabies vaccination program. And I believe that we were asked to take lines 4. Well, maybe it's actually line 1 through 16 out of the bills, if I'm remembering correctly. Because, vaccines are, registered or,
Yeah, what,
you have a
what
license
page,
in order to administer.
what page are you referring to? You're looking at the
5.
path by the house.
5.
This is my memory. It could be a faulty one.
No.
But I'm pretty sure that's what we heard anyway.
Yeah, no, you're right.
You said 1 through.
Have that request, did they write it out? Did the Secretary
Well,
of
no, I
State?
just have,
I didn't think some of the bills, so I put my hands on it, I think it was 4 through 16.
oh, okay, maybe you're right. Oh, look who's joined us. Secretary of State office.
Oh, yeah, they didn't want to have.
This is called Rapid SOS. That is Rapid SOS.
Very good, Senator Gladstone. Very good.
It's 2 different.
Yeah, I guess you could adopt rules pursuant to implementing a certified rabies vaccinator program and just leave it at that. But for some reason, I included that at the beginning and then I kind of scratched it up. So I don't know where we are with that. So maybe I can ask, Lauren Hibbert to weigh in on that. Did we want to take out, we're talking about the animal welfare on page 5 of the version that was passed by the House. Do we want to remove lines 1 through 16 or 4 through 16?
We prefer one through 16 be
Okay.
removed. And have you folks met Emily Trudeau, who just was my really great phone a friend in that moment?
Oh.
No, you'll be up next.
She's great.
Okay, so Hillary, does that help?
Yes.
Okay,
So, sorry, all of E is basically what you're suggesting we take out?
All of subdivision 2.
correct.
Well, I just had E1, she says 1.
Yeah, that's,
Are you talking about lines 1 through 16, or are you talking about E1, all of 1?
that is a good question. So
I think it's all
on
of 2, which was.
No,
Why?
the concern was,
But I thought we wanted them to be able to do the rulemaking, we just
I
didn't
thought
want
we
them
did.
to green light the whole thing.
So we want to leave, Lauren, is it, their consultant, we'll have an answer.
So on the bottom of page 4,
Yeah.
there's,
Right.
sorry, for the record, Lauren Hibbert, Deputy Secretary of State. On the bottom of page 4 is the general rulemaking authority, which we do want to remain
that's what I
in.
thought.
Right.
But it's section 2 in its totality, which begins on the top of page
Yeah.
5,
Okay,
lines 1 through 16 that we want to be removed.
okay.
Okay, got it.
And then on line 18, I had written in, this was Lisa, our animal control officer, I think that, or maybe that's not the right term, but
Director of Animal Welfare.
she's in charge of all the animals.
Yes.
She wanted to strike dog breeders and instead insert and pet dealers,
What page you on?
comma, same page 18.
And then we
Got
also,
it.
well, I'm on the bottom of page.
Okay, that's 17.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well, they're saying page 18, so they confused me.
No, line 18.
Line 18, because the other thing we were gonna strike there was, and was other.
Correct.
Right.
So if I can, for Hillary's benefit, I'll just read, starting on line 17 of that. This is subdivision F1. The Director of Animal Welfare shall require that animal shelters, comma, rescue organizations, comma, and pet dealers, I guess, comma, and any person importing domestic pets, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Excellent.
Okay, so that was the first thing that I had. And if anyone has one in between, yes, sorry.
Before we go any further. I haven't been introduced to you, so I have no idea. I mean,
Oh.
I'm glad you're the new.
I'm-
We should probably introduce ourselves because none of us have met you if we
Oh,
aren't.
I've-
Very
Okay.
few of us have met you.
Well, we'll start with Senator Moore.
John Roy from Orleans District.
Allison Clarkson, Windsor District. I'm Chair of Senate Economic Development, Housing and General Affairs, and you have not yet been working. So
It sounded more like a threat than.
it's just so I have not met you. I know you've come on board. Everyone's very excited about you. Very wonderful to have you.
Hope the excitement has continued over the course
Well,
of
you replace Ben, so you've got Ben's portfolio plus some other things. I think you've been given other things in between. Great, great to have you.
So I'm Brian Collmore representing the Rutland District. This is Lynn Jakubowskis, who's our committee assistant.
Tanya Babsky, I actually do know.
I know, because she works with you.
Hillary, because she spends a lot of time with us in judiciary.
And
Senator Rebecca White from Windsor.
Okay.
Lovely to have you.
so, moving on to the bill. The next change I had was on page 13.
Oh, going back.
No, we were on page 5.
You're on page 5.
We could start from the back.
No. I was too confused by the 17. I couldn't go forward, which is on page.
Line 10, animal intake. That line through line 16, I have as, I believe it was Secretary of State, but it could have been somebody else. Strike that.
Oh, section B, yeah.
Not all of section B. I think we were just striking and report the information to the Director of Animal Welfare. So they still want to collect the information, they just don't want to report it to us.
I had it bracketed. Was that the Director of Animal Welfare that asked us to do that?
Yes. But my understanding is they still were planning, they still want to collect the information. They just don't want to have it, like the individual intakes should still collect this information, but they should not have to report it to us or the
But
government.
Lisa should, but not the individual intakers.
No.
Right,
The individual intaker should collect it, but they don't need to report it to Lisa.
okay.
And that's why we use strike the and report the information to the Director of Animal Welfare.
Okay,
And that's consistent with my understanding of. Money.
okay. Well, I stand corrected, maybe we can, so we're just gonna strike out what is underlined at the end of line 12 and the beginning of line 13. And that might be it. No, sorry. Page 16. And this is where we get into a lot of discussion. I don't know whether we ever actually settled on anything. The concern that was expressed by the committee was if someone is going to sell a domestic pet for adoption, the committee felt that we would want to know where the pet is, the location I had from where the pet came. I don't know whether
Yes,
that's
because that was
grammatically correct.
discussed.
And then the municipality and state in which the domestic pet was located at the time the ad was placed. I'm not sure if both of those are necessary. And then the other part was okay, the rescue shelter's license number and like it says.
So what I think we landed on was everything you said, potentially striking one, which is the current location of the pet, because that's gonna change. And instead adding in where the transfer of the pet will occur and
Okay.
when the animal will arrive at that location.
And I'm fine with it.
But key is to get where the pet came from originally.
And Allison wanted to add it, so instead of the current location of the pet, I guess it would be the originating location of the pet.
Because that's the critically important issue is where is the pet come from and under
What's where
what
the pet-
circumstances was it brought here?
Right, and that is sort of where we got to where the transfer will occur and when the animal will arrive. So you have a sense of, has that animal been there for a week? Has that animal gotten there 3 minutes before you got there?
So where is it from? Where is
Where is it
originally
from?
from and what were the circumstances that people should know what the circumstances were that made it family-less or unwanted?
I don't know if they always know that.
They're just selling a pet. Maybe it was just born.
Ah, well, maybe.
Well, this is for,
But
There's no family involved yet.
Maybe, but sometimes these things happen because there's a disaster and things, anyway.
Who's
Just where the
getting,
pet's from.
who's receiving this information? This is the Secretary of State is ultimately receiving this information?
This is the advertisements shall contain. So any ad would have to list these.
Where's the pet?
Pieces of information.
where's the pet from? Where will I get the pet?
Those are the keys.
When's the pet arrive there?
Gosh, if you're not providing that information in your ad already, you're not.
Well, I don't think all of them.
I have a feeling.
Well, there wouldn't be a need to do that.
Yes.
That's fair.
So to implement that change, it sounds like striking subdivision 1 on page 16, line 11.
Yeah.
And making sure that there are 3 pieces of information. The original location of the animal.
Yeah.
When the animal will arrive at that location and where the transfer will occur. Is the idea that, or is the concern that the original location of the pet will be something other than where the pet was located at the time the advertisement was placed, or is that
It may be.
the like appropriate original location of the pet versus the ad?
I think it's, that would be some of our question. I just want to correct, it's where the transfer will occur and when the animal will arrive at the location the transfer will occur.
The concern there is how long has the animal been in custody and in transit and stuff, but the key piece is where is the animal from?
But couldn't you, I mean,
Origin, but
couldn't you ask that? Like as a consumer?
I don't know that people always think of that. I've certainly heard of people who are quite surprised to arrive to pick up a pet and they're getting a pet off the back of a semi that arrived there that morning and has had no time to decompress from travel.
Yeah.
It's back.
Saturday morning.
I want to back up. So if I was going to buy a pet,
Yeah.
I think I would ask a lot of these questions.
Yeah.
If I really wanted a nice pet.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm with you. Well, I'm a little bit at a loss for words on this whole advertising piece, to be quite honest with you. But
since nothing rescues.
Well, it could be a puppy mill. And it's in Kentucky.
Yeah.
And they just stuff this poor animal in a pickup truck.
Yeah.
In a cage,
Mhm.
and they drive it to Vermont. And the guy says, okay, here it is. Here's what I'm asking. I don't know whether the information that it was bred in Kentucky is relevant to whether that person would buy the animal or not, but it might. I don't know.
But if it was, couldn't you call the person selling the animal and ask them this information? Like, I guess it just seems like I'm seeing a lot of these on like Craigslist or, you know, like, so who are we actually regulating?
Hmm.
Like, if you're a purveyor of a animal that you're purchasing, you can ask all of these questions of the person you're purchasing it from. If you're purchasing something online, I guess I'm just like confused about the enforcement, like who is going to make sure that these are properly listed? Are they then calling the AG and getting consumer protection for petfinder.com? Like it just seems like
Well,
if I'm purchasing a $3,000 animal, I'm going to be asking a lot of specific
well, you're not
questions.
doing it this way. If you're
If you're buying
purchasing,
an animal online, you might be.
no, you'd go to a breeder. If you're
Well,
spending
then
that
there you
much
go.
money on a dog
Sure.
or a cat, you're going to a breeder and you're doing it properly.
Or a ferret.
Yeah, or fair.
don't bring up.
Because
Because the question, what, yeah, we had it, doesn't appreciate it. my question
I'm
is
not gonna fight this, just.
advertising. I assumed we were talking in all this about rescues and animals we
No.
didn't know much about, but we're actually talking about all
Annie.
advertising.
Annie.
So I think
Except domesticated.
I have a question for legislative council maybe. So it says all advertisements for domestic pets for adoption. Does that mean we are talking about rescue or
Yes,
does that
If
apply?
rescue from outside of
yes, that's
Okay, so this does apply
Oh.
to rescue.
adoption or sale. I mean, the point of what is the value of requiring it to be in the advertisement
Yeah.
as opposed to having the potential purchaser ask?
Yeah.
This means that someone who is not the potential purchaser could still see it. So I don't think there is currently an enforcement mechanism. Any plans for that would be a Lisa question and not a me question. But to the extent that something is contemplated in the future, requiring the information to be in the public advertisement means it's available to someone other than the immediate potential purchaser acting it. So someone could go and scan advertisements for pets for adoption in Vermont and get a sense of where they were coming from. I think to the point that many parts of this bill are collecting or generating information about how animals are moving around the state.
yes.
This kind of requirement could help generate that. And
Okay.
any more details would be a discussion.
Well, that's compelling. So it's less about the consumer, more about getting in clear information on the trade of animals in our state.
Remember, she said she didn't know where a lot, and they didn't know how many were coming in.
I know, and now but that's separate from this section. There's a report that's being required of them later in the bill around this. So I guess if I'm understanding correct, we can look back at the bill, but I'm dropping it. I'm not gonna fight on this section.
Well, if
And I'm convinced. You're convinced, I'm convinced, so I don't need to be here.
But to go back to Tanya, it doesn't say rescues.
No, it's just for adoption or
adoption.
sale, and I think adoption is the terminology, and the reason I asked legislative council, because I wanted to know sort of legally, is that the terminology we use for rescuing an animal versus purchasing
Or
it?
do we,
That's my understanding, but I'll confirm.
because otherwise it would be great to then identify.
Well, and it does say adoption or sale, so it is both, and I think to the chair's point, that is for us to get a sense of, is this animal being transported in the back of a semi from a puppy mill in Kentucky? Like, I do actually think both are important in terms of gathering that information to know where are animals coming from and how are they getting here?
Senator Warren. So when I was younger, I worked on a farm. And a lot of farms have cats. And so, say I was a farmer and I had too many cats. So.
Probably.
I don't think I would do that. I lost my train of thought now.
But you can't post on Craigslist without listing a title.
So, exactly, so if we had too many cats and we want to get rid of some of the cats, so is that putting them up for adoption?
Yes.
Yes.
But I think it's 4 pieces of information you need to include in the ad, if you're a farmer, because you are gonna have a shelter license.
Do you have to advertise it all?
No.
If I,
You could just give them a look.
but if I
Oh.
do that, I have to conform to this.
It would be great if you gave them a way to be.
Okay, so now my question, and this is, I think, where Senator White was kind of, what if I just don't do that?
Oh, what's
Who's gonna enforce it and who's gonna come after me? I could say to Senator Bielski, even though it came from Kentucky, oh no, it was right down in Bennington, and we took care of it. Who's gonna know?
I mean, I think that is really true of any law,
Well,
generally speaking, the sociological studies show that most people follow the law because it's the law. But anyone can break the law, and if they don't get caught, then so you're right, but I think most people will follow this.
the puppy dog ones.
Yeah. No.
Well, I think what I appreciated was Hillary's response is it's not necessarily the final purpose of this section. The purpose is so that the Lisa or whoever is in that position has the ability to collect information about the internal and external trade of animals. So even if people aren't actually doing this and it's not being enforced, there might be at least more information about kind of the in-stream or outstream. So that was compelling. That was,
Yeah, Lisa's testimony about why she needed this information was compelling.
yeah. So I would say that's kind of what That was where I said, okay.
All right. And again, some of the questions are, if they're policy questions, Hillary can't really answer those. That's up to us. So maybe Emily can provide us with a little more clarity on that. It just struck me when you mentioned that, Senator White, that, I'm not gonna follow that stupid law. I can do what I want. I'm gonna sell my dog.
Or people are unaware. I think if people were aware of the law, they might do it, but honestly, most people are on their front porch forum or on their local
So
thing.
And that's an ad, right?
Yeah, that's an absolute reviews. It's classified, it's the world.
Okay, so does anyone have any other changes to 841? Do you want to look through your notes? I think we've covered it.
And so, just to confirm on these changes to the advertising section.
Yeah.
I just wanna drill down on the kind of original location request and whether that is in fact, whether you want to capture something other than the location at the time the ad was placed. So if the animal's already in Vermont, it'll say somewhere Vermont. If the animal is outside of Vermont, when the ad is placed, it will say what that location is or is supposed to say. Do you want to capture, if the animal is outside Vermont, do you want to capture something other than where the animal is at the time the ad is placed? Is there some intention to capture an original location going further back than that?
I think the original intent is to establish where the animal was born and raised, or where the animal was born. Where does the animal?
So this is probably a Lisa question, because my
That's-
understanding of the back and forth between Lisa and I from the other day is that the municipality, the sort of where the animal was when the ad was placed was sort of trying to get at this sense of like, where is it in transit from, or how long will it be and I think Senator Clarkson's, where did the animal come from? Did it come from Puppy Mill, Kentucky? Because that's the example.
With all
we're
due respect to
using.
people that don't
Yes.
like Kentucky.
Yes,
Yes.
sorry, all due respect.
And then here the
Didn't have
transfer
front
will
porch.
happen and when the animal will arrive at that location. I'm now wondering, but this is the Lisa question, if the line that actually we could strike is to the municipality and state in which the pet was located at the time the ad was placed. Because now we're getting at that transit piece from where will it happen and when will the animal arrive there? But I don't want to make that change without Lisa weighing in. So it would be changing the first one. So the original location of the domestic pet. And then adding where the domestic pet will be transferred to its new ownership and when the animal will arrive at that transfer location. And then potentially, but again, I don't want to do this without Lisa weighing in, striking the municipality and state in which the domestic pet was located at the time the ad was placed. Because I think we're getting at the sort of underlying question with one and the two new additions.
It's a lot in one ad though, isn't it?
Well, it ends up being 1, 2, 3, definitely 3 things. Maybe 2 additional things if the advertiser has a rescue or shelter license. Or if the advertiser, so no, at most it's 4 things. It's where did the pet come from? Where will the transfer occur? When will the animal arrive at that location? Those are required no matter what. And then 3 and 4, if the advertiser is a rescue or shelter, their license number. Or if they have some other type of license number, a breeder's license number, then that. So 3 and 4 are kind of an or.
But that, again, I would say that all of this is a lot in one little ad this size.
Well, not that it is. Animal born, Kentucky. Animal transfer, Bennington. Transfer will occur, or the animal will arrive 1 week before transfer. Here's my license number.
Nowhere do we require price.
Well, we don't.
I'm just saying.
And I also noticed in subsection B now, on social media, subsection A will only apply to advertisers located in Vermont or transferring or offering transfer domestic pets in the state of Vermont. So what does that do to our scenario?
Construct here.
I think this would be like a Facebook ad or an Instagram.
Well, yeah.
ad. Yeah.
Or a list.
Why would that be
You see the farmer,
different than it
that's
used to be?
the farmer didn't have listserv or front porch
I
for.
guess we need Lisa, because I think
Now,
she's the one that drafted the advertising portion.
So I wonder if it makes sense to sort of change the list as we talked about and then have Lisa kind of look it over and okay it and then answer the question of why.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, Hillary, if you could at least, affect the draft of this and, send it back.
What it looks like.
And then we can have Lisa come back in and, yeah, for advertising on social media. It only has to be advertisers in Vermont. It only,
That's the advertising.
My thought is Vermont's ability to legislate things that aren't happening in Vermont. So if the person is using the internet from another state, Vermont has like some limitations on.
Right.
interstate
How-
commerce.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my like short suggestion. Happy to look into it further.
But that limitation to only being in Vermont only applies to social media. There's plenty of other ways to advertise online that are not social media, like Pet Finder.
And Front Porch Forum and Listserv, as we have identified, which are new additions for.
All right, well, we'll have Lisa come back in.
Oh, sorry, no.
I'm glad we at least looked at this section because all of this could have been asked later on.
Well, and
And
I,
we will need answers on the floor.
and I think we just need to be reminded what Lisa's purpose is in this section, and I think her purpose is what was compelling.
Yeah, it was in and out of the state.
Yeah, it's trying to get a sense of
Data,
the
trying to
volume.
get data.
Yeah, but if that's the
Okay.
purpose, I don't understand why we would be there.
That's just what I thought she said.
No, I think you're right. I recall that as well. Right.
Any other questions for Hillary?
One clarifying question.
Sure.
Is it most useful for the committee if I draft something, bring it back, and then you hear from Lisa? Or is it useful for me to share a draft with Lisa for her to know?
You could do
And then-
the latter if,
Great.
yeah, it affects the speed at which we can proceed.
Well, and also the
Very
clarity.
prompt.
Also, I think we're all in agreement that we want this to serve her purpose.
Excellent. Work with her on other bills, and that's so happy to do that here.
Great. So you have the animal portfolio with Mike O'Grady.
Yes, if you remember. I have the animal welfare, animal cruelty part of it.
So the
If
sort of
it's
judicial.
at- Exactly. I think if it's ag or otherwise.
We had Aaron Fitzpatrick earlier, and then,
Yeah,
the interview
that's
host
right.
had warned us that perhaps we may have a new face on this, so she was right.
Wasn't a warning.
I'm just sure I wouldn't be trying to-
Yeah, right.
It's coming in.
Watch out.
Okay, Hillary, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to meet you and
Love to meet you all.
maybe you'll appear before the Senate Economic Development Committee.
Yeah,
I was warned.
It's some interesting way to.
Okay,
Good, Abby, thank you.
Emily, is it Trito?
Yes, most people don't get it in one, so thank you.
Well, it's just a knack. So you're a staff attorney at OPR.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome. And I heard, I hope you heard our introduction, so, because I know we've never met and the pleasure to have you in the committee.
Thank you for having me.
Sure.
And it sounds like the committee has already digested the gist of our, we've already
Okay.
spent a lot of time on this bill, so our essential ask was to please remove from page 5, lines 1 through 16. And so if the committee would like to talk about that anymore, any other aspect of regulation, that would have anything to do with our bailiwick, which is not much in this sphere. But I don't want to take up your time since it sounds like I might be rehashing.
We got all day.
Okay.
Well, maybe just.
Don't do that.
Put supper off for a few hours.
I know. Well, my dog's fine.
Here's to do the dishes, we're fine.
Okay, no, I think we have at least addressed what I could remember, the two deletions that we talked about.
Great, thank you. And we're looking forward to having the conversations that Lisa referenced between us and the Agency of Agriculture, which is already heavily in this space, especially the rabies aspects, but other aspects as well. So, we'll look forward to talking to those groups over the summer. But if you all are good, then I don't want to take up your time.
Well, that's a stretch.
Yeah.
We're all
Are you
good.
good? Yeah.
On this
We're
second.
all
Yeah.
sanguine with this particular bill.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Sanguine. Not you look good.
Okay,
Great.
thank you so much. Okay, well, the agenda had a italics possible vote, but we can't do that today. We wanted to from our animal welfare. So is there anything else that anybody wants to bring up? No?
How
Okay.
did you like the additional haikus and limerick?
Oh, by the
well,
way,
yeah.
yeah,
Well
that was,
done.
in my opinion, a perfect reporting because you didn't go too long.
Yeah.
But it was, 5 to 7 to 10 minutes and maybe a little longer, but it wasn't long. You know what I mean? Like some
It
bills.
wasn't as long as the bill,
No,
No.
it wasn't.
or even the summary.
And thank you for not using Oliver's limerick. That was
Yes.
probably not the appropriate one.
I have never used Oliver's limerick. On
Never.
the center.
Yeah.
That is saves
Oh,
just
that's
for the ears of the committee.
And we enjoyed it.
I thought you did.
But no, I thought you did a great job in that.
Well, and it was great. Maria really joined in, which was lovely. And I thought her favorite section was fun too.
Did you?
I didn't understand fully the oval bit versus the
Because the
non-oval
gym,
bit, but I,
Nasa bit is not oval. It's just finish lines.
what is it? I did not fully capture
You'll
the
have to
gym
ask.
walks, but yeah, okay.
Did you listeners testify?
Yeah, I did. I'm sorry. Legislative council.
Oh, yeah, you used her name.
But I used two names.
They did.
And Kirby's too.
And yeah, though, they were part of the history of the film.
That's right.
We'll let it go this.
All right, so we have tomorrow. I call it the treasurer's bill, unclaimed property, state retirement system, capital debt. And we are hopefully looking at Lauren. We're gonna take a little bit more testimony, I guess, on OPR. I'm not sure what else we can learn about it, but maybe hopefully can move this week.
Lovely.
And yeah.
We're almost ready to do that.
Yeah, we have Ted Barnett coming in from Joint Fiscal. Was that a request from Ted?
Lauren is the answer.
I believe that's because we are not charging a fee for the dental. And I believe there's a specialty as well. So anyway, we do have a fiscal note on 588.
Oh,
And it doesn't have a huge budget impact, but good to hear.
Okay.
and remind us why you're not charging a fee.
Because we don't anticipate it will have a big impact on the budget. And we want to streamline those credentials as quickly as possible.
Because we need dentists as fast as possible.
We
The
need
other
housing,
thing-
we need dentists, we need.
Primary care doctors.
I'll just say to, again, thank you to Emily Trudeau. Those dentists would already qualify for a pro bono exemption from, if they were operating at a normal, dental free and reduced dental clinic, they would qualify for the pro bono dental license, which we do not charge a fee for. So we're using the same standard for them.
Okay, anybody else in the room want to offer anything on either of the two bills we took up today? Okay, since I don't see anybody's hand up for anything else to do today, we'll adjourn for the day. See all of you tomorrow.